morning and welcome to On the Money right here on WDBO AM 580, always streaming inside your WDBO app. Now, the app itself is a bit of a new invention, but what is not new to WDBO is the On the Money show and the collaboration with the Certified Financial Group. We have been working with them for almost 40 years on the airwaves, and they have been providing wonderful advice on the air to the listeners here in Central Florida, one of the only shows of its kind in the world, and certainly the only one here in the Central Florida area answering questions live on the air right now. So if you got a question, you're ready to write down these numbers because I got experts by the name of Joe Bert and Dave Balakrishnan. Gentlemen, how you doing today?
We're doing great, Josh.
Very good, Josh.
Good to be with you as we wind down the year, approaching the Christmas holiday. And Dave and I are here to take your calls this morning, as we have been now for many, many years. Talk questions that you might have regarding your personal finances, things about stocks, bonds, real estate, long-term health care, annuities, life insurance, reverse mortgages, all that stuff and more that Dave and I and the 15 other certified financial planners deal with day in and day out, providing guidance and advice to our clients, getting them to and through their retirement years. On Monday through Friday, we work for a fee, but on Saturday morning, we are here for you absolutely free. So is anything on your mind, things you've been thinking about, things your brother-in-law might have told you, it just doesn't sound quite right? The good news for you is the lines are absolutely wide open. And all you have to do is pick up the phones and dial these magic numbers.
844-580-9326, 844-580-WDBO. Also, the open mic feature available to you inside the app. If you want to send in those questions, I'll play them back live on the air as if you're sitting here in studio with us. Again, the phone number, 844-580-9326. Today's topic. Now, I've always known that Dave Balakrishnan is a bit of a philosopher, but now I'm going to wonder if he might be a pun master as well, because the topic of today's show is when there's a will, there's a way.
When there's a will.
When there is a will, there is a way. So yes, I know the first thing that comes to people is this is something that you always say, talk about grit, right? Talking about being able to put your mind and focus and keep pushing until you get things done. So just a little bit about the history of this thing. This thing has been, at least a flavor of this was originated in about 1600, about 1580. The phrase actually originated in 1580. And then I think it took its current forms in about 1700s. So it's been around for a while. But for our purposes, I guess, financial planners, we're actually going to take the same phrase and make this literal, right? So when there is a will, there is a way. So if you're thinking about it, this is essentially talking about estate planning. So that's the scope of our discussion today. And it's a great time to talk about this, right? This is a time where we are winding down, kind of relaxing for the holidays. Hopefully you have a little bit of time to think about different things that's going on, how your 2025 has gone, and then maybe you're thinking about the year ahead. So it's a time of reflection. Something to think about is also about all the things that you've accomplished in life. How are you going to handle that for the future, right? So it's a time to reflect what your legacy might be. It's time to reflect a little bit about when you are at the dining table, obviously you're having fun and hopefully good conversations, but there will be a time where you won't be at the dinner table. And the question is, how will those conversations be?
So what we're going to talk about is one of the key elements of financial planning, which is estate planning.
Estate planning.
All right.
Absolutely, Joe.
Okay.
So think of this. I think the way we need to frame this estate planning conversation is really, it's the ultimate gift, right? It is the ultimate gift to your next generation or to charitable causes. Whatever is important to you is how do you structure this so that it actually happens, right? So it's really a love letter to pass on to your dearest or to the next generation and things on your mind, right? If you don't, right? So there is the way, there is always a way. There is laws in our Florida statutes and in the federal statutes on how estates are handled when somebody passes without having done this estate planning documents.
So if you don't plan, the state of Florida has a plan for you.
The state of Florida has a plan for you.
And one size does not fit all.
Exactly. And what you're going to have to find out is that there is this no-name person, I'm sure nobody cares to remember. They are going to look at everything you have. First of all, it becomes public. And then they're going to look at everything that you have, and they have no difference between the vintage collectible, vinyl drives that you have versus the coasters that you use for your coffee table. They're going to look at it the same way, and they're going to split that around.
So these are the things that go through probate.
These are the things that go through probate. So we're going to talk about when you don't have a plan, when you don't have a will, right? When there is no will, the way in the government is you're going to have to go through probate. And the probate is essentially a court that will determine, first of all, an inventory of your assets and goes through a process of valuing them, and then making sure all your people who are eligible for it are identified, and then somehow have some kind of a rubric to share it and distribute it. It's public, it's expensive, it can be as much as 6-7% sometimes, possibly more if it becomes litigious, right? And we'll talk about some of the celebrity mix-ups later on in the segment on how not doing that can get real expensive, right?
And the term for when you die without a will is intestate.
Intestate.
Not interstate, like some people think. You might get wiped out on I-4. That's interstate. Right. Intestate means that you do not have a will.
You don't have a will, right. Exactly. So I think it's important that as we gather around the dining table, we find a way to have this conversation, right? I'm sure. The kids are young, they probably do rock, paper, scissors, and then maybe decide who takes what. I'm sure as they're older and they have their own families, it's not a rock, paper, scissors game. It's a little bit more complicated.
It could be throwing rocks and using scissors.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's better that we actually take some time and maybe have a conversation, an important conversation with the family on what is it that you want to see as your legacy, and maybe what is it that they want, so that you can incorporate this into the will. So again, I think it's a great time to reflect. It's a great time to kind of have that conversation. And if you already have a will, great. Maybe at least have a conversation on what might be in the will and explore if that still fits the expectations, right? Again, remember, what's important is at the end, after you're gone, how are those conversations going to be at the dinner table when they come together? Are they going to be friendly? Are they going to be happy? Are they going to be moving forward rather than bickering about what mom and dad did not do, right? I think this is the most important aspect of estate planning. And it's not the loss, it's not the assets, it's the legacy that you want to leave. It's the emotions that come behind it. So that's the heart of the matter when it comes down to estate planning, right? So I just finished my own estate planning. I updated mine. Joe, I don't know how many times you've done it. This is my first.
I'm a little older than you, so I've had a few options at this.
Yeah, so you've had probably a couple of attempts. Mm-hmm. So I just finished my own, and in all honesty, it was really an enlightening experience because it makes you think. Definitely some difficult conversations, but it is important because now that I've thought about it, now I have a plan. It again goes back to what we always talk about: building peace of mind. There is this piece that you now have it on paper as well.
Right.
And absolutely, estate planning is something that we talk to all of our financial planning clients. We really want to make sure we try to take care of the legalese. Again, we're not estate attorneys, but we know enough to be able to bring that to the table and have a sensible conversation so that when you approach the professionals, you can actually handle the legalese and make sensible decisions. Right?
Okay, you're going to cover the various elements of an estate plan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So
okay.
We'll get into the various elements of the estate plan. So the way I talk about this is really the 4 pieces, right?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so the 4 pieces that we are talking about is the last will and the testament. So this is basically the will, the document that tells the way for the next generation, right? So you can think about it as the map that kind of lays where different things are. How do you go from here to there? Where does that go, right? So this is the document that shows that. It's a map. The next piece.
So, well, before you leave, that's a will that everybody says, well, I've got my will. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to avoid probate. Your will is your instructions to the probate court.
Correct.
So if you have a will, you're going to probate because it's those things that are in your name alone that pass through probate.
Thank you.
So
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
okay. That's
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
I think many people have the misconception. I did my will. Everything's good. No, the will is really your instructions, the probate court. This way you're not leaving it to the state to determine how you want your assets divided. You now have it in a document, and the probate court is to assure that what your wishes are. But if you don't have the will, then the state of Florida has a will for you.
Exactly.
Right.
So, absolutely. So that's the map. And then the second piece that we want to talk about is the revocable living trust. I mean, this is always a question we get, right? Do I need to have a trust? I don't have that kind of money to have to need a trust. What the trust does, I mean, this is basically the analogy that I would use is this is the bucket. So you take everything, you put it under the trust, and so essentially now there is a little bit more clarity on exactly how things need to be done, rather than the court actually defining what gets done. You are actually giving more specific instructions of how you want your affairs handled.
So let's stop there. So if I have a will and I have my assets and they're laid out and such, and Johnny gets this so much and Mary gets that, and so, but when they get it, they get it. That's it. End of story. They can do what they want.
Correct.
But the trust then allows you to be a little bit more creative.
Absolutely. Allows you to be a bit more creative, and then depends on the situation.
So specifically, what can I do with my trust?
So let's say
what kind of suggestions can I leave?
So let's say if you have a children that are still learning to be good with money, right? You could essentially stage how much they get at different age points, for example. So that's something that I've done in my kids. I have young kids. I'm still teaching them about money. So one of the things I've done is they don't get, should something happen to me, God forbid, before they've really had the opportunity to grow and learn this on their own. So at least my trust now essentially says they will get a portion of it as part of the
As
first
time
installment.
goes on. And there's more details you can do in a trust, so stick around after break and we'll get into the details.
Absolutely.
If you want to add some of those details of your own personal experience to the show today, by all means, call in today, 844-580-9326, 844-580-WDBO, or send in your open mic using the free WDBO app. You're listening to On the Money, where we're planning tomorrow
Today,
with the Certified Financial Group.
This hour was paid for by the host.
Josh, you want to tell Bob to hang on? We'll get to him right after the break.
Sure thing.
Now, the three big things you need to know. Powered by Hard Rock Bet.
3. Millions of Americans are hoping to become billionaires tonight by winning the Powerball. The Powerball jackpot has grown to $1.5 billion. 2. Thousands of flights are being delayed on the busiest travel day of the Christmas holidays. FlightAware says as of Friday night, over 7,600 flights were delayed across the U.S. and nearly 1,200 were canceled due to severe winter weather. President Trump says he's going to meet with major health insurance companies soon to discuss lowering costs for Americans. Speaking from the White House, the president said the meeting could take place in Florida over the holidays or in the first week of 2026 at the White House.
That's why we don't use one.
This is WDBO.
The suspended Osceola County sheriff is accused of running an illegal gambling ring.
The proposed amendment would allow adults 21 and older to use marijuana while banning public smoking and marketing to children.
Waymo is already operating in cities like Phoenix and Los Angeles and plans to expand to Miami and here in Orlando in 2026.
From City Hall to your backyard, we cover the stories that matter to you. Download the WDBO app and stay tuned to WDBO AM 580.
Would you trust just anyone to prepare your taxes, or would you seek out a certified public accountant?
Well, a CPA, obviously. They have the education and passed a pretty tough exam.
Right, so why would you trust your financial future to just anyone who calls themselves a financial planner? Here's something most people don't know. Anyone can call himself or herself a financial planner or claim to be a fiduciary with zero qualifications.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, only certified financial planner professionals are required by certification to act as true fiduciaries, putting your interests first always. Like CPAs, CFPs must have a degree, you got to pass a rigorous exam, you have to have ongoing education, and you have to adhere to strict ethical standards.
So how do I know if I'm working with a real CFP professional?
All you have to do is ask. At Certified Financial Group, they have 17 CFPs ready to guide you to and through your retirement years. When it comes to your financial future, don't settle for less than a CFP professional. Visit financialgroup.com today to schedule that no-obligation visit. That's financialgroup.com. They're the Certified Financial Group, and they're still planning tomorrow, today.
Retirement planning and investment management offered for a fee through Certified Advisory Corp, a registered investment investment advisor, paid endorsement.
Advisory firm demonstrates its adherence to a global fiduciary standard of excellence. A defined standard with specific criteria.
If you spend half your day walking or standing while working, if you have foot, knee, or back problems, you want to say we want to help you like we help Sony.
Pain that I experience the most is foot pain.
Got it.
Being on my feet all day. You're having to kind of talk to yourself through the whole shift. Like, I've got this. I can do this. Before, I felt defeated, and now it's like, all right, go. I'm ready. A whole new life, like sunshine coming out.
And how about working more comfortably, like Dennis?
This
Working in an
independent
amusement park,
verification
it's
is
always
even
on
more
your feet.
critical
I
for
just couldn't
trustees
take it,
and
but I
investment
didn't have a
committee
choice.
members of
I just couldn't
retirement
believe that
plans
putting
who
these
are
art
legally
supports in
required to
made
conduct
that much of a
regular due
difference
diligence
that
on their
quickly.
service
I could do my
providers.
job
Use a
and I could take care of my
CFEX
family.
certified
I
firm,
know
and
what
that
my
job has been
tomorrow is
done
going to be.
already
It's going
by
to be
an expert
positive.
at
You
no
deserve a
expense to
better
the
life
plan.
too. Stop
So
in
why
the Good
leave
Feet
anything
store
to
today.
chance?
We have
Insist
4
on
Central
working with
Florida
investment
locations:
professionals
Metro
you can
Orlando,
truly
the
trust.
Villages,
Insist
Daytona,
on
and
using a
Melbourne.
CFEX certified advisor.
Hey Orlando, Joe Rossi here for Greenway Kia. As the year winds down, here's something to remember. Kia sells more vehicles in Central Florida than any brand except one. So if you're shopping, chances are you're already thinking about a new Kia. Greenway Kia is closing out the year with savings up to $12,000 off MSRP and one of the area's biggest selections of new Kias. Shop hundreds of new Kias online at greenwaykias.com. I'm Joe Rossi, and I want to see you in a Greenway Kia.
Example stock number 17479, offer expires 1/5/26.
Sunnyside Air Conditioning.
Hi, my air conditioner isn't working.
We're hosting a pet rock adoption telethon.
Pet rocks?
The internet says they're endangered.
Rocks are everywhere.
You know what's everywhere?
Frank Gay is everywhere. I'm calling Frank Gay.
When you have AC problems, you need help now. One of our licensed and certified technicians can have your AC blowing cold air in no time. That's the Frank Gay way.
That's the Frank Gay way.
FrankGayServices.com.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation.
Call 800-838-8614. 800-838-8614. That's 800-838-8614.
Paid for by Airtime Media.
This hour was paid for by the host and does not reflect the opinion of WDBO.
Did you want to go to the open mic or Bob?
Bob first. Bob.
Welcome back to On the Money here on WDBO AM 580, always streaming inside your very own WDBO app. If you want to hop on the air today, we got 2 certified financial planners with the Certified Financial Group, Dave Balakrishnan and Joe Bert, at your service today. 844-580-9326 is the number to call. 844-580-WDBO, or send in your open mic using the free WDBO app. Let's head over to Bob, where Bob's got a question. Go ahead, Bob. You're on with the Certified Financial Group.
Morning, Bob.
Yes, good morning.
What's
good
up?
Morning.
Good morning.
Can you? Yes, some of the major Wall Street firms have been recommending a 20% of one's portfolio in precious metals. My question is, what do you think about that? And if so, if you think that's a good idea, how should you actually hold the precious metals, in what medium?
I think personally 20% is too aggressive. Do you agree, Dave?
I agree.
Yeah.
20% is a little bit too aggressive.
I don't think I've seen any major Wall Street firms other than the people on television touting gold, suggesting that you should have that much in gold. And secondly, I would buy the bullion, and don't deal with these companies that are trying to sell you online and have the commercials. We buy it for our clients through Fidelity, and it costs you 2% to buy it. They will hold it for you for 1% per year. You've got the bullion, and you know what the spot price is, and there's no monkey business. So that's the way we do it for our clients.
Yeah.
So what percent do you recommend?
Typically 4 to 5%.
5%.
Typically 4 to 5%, I would say, is a healthy percentage. It's part of a diversification thought process, right? It's a combination of real estate kind of holdings or gold holdings and precious metal holdings. We typically would park it between 4 and 6 is usually where we land in most situations.
Yes.
Okay. Well, J.P. Morgan just recommended 20%, but that's fine.
Wow.
You know, everybody's entitled to their
Sure,
opinion.
of course. Well, yep. And you got ours this morning. We believe in a little bit more diversification, but that's everybody. That's why they make 2 flavors of ice cream: chocolate and vanilla.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right, Bob. Appreciate your call. So, yep. The precious metals, certainly silver has had the big run up this year.
So silver at least
prices, yes.
I think gold is kind of slowing down, and
Yes.
maybe silver is starting
Yes.
to show a little bit of sign of strength. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, there are the amazing runs this year.
Yeah.
Will it continue? I think there's different sentiments out there. We get calls all the time about buying gold and so on, and honestly, there is a liquidity risk around that as well. Like when you try to go sell them, there's costs associated with it.
Yes.
So there are smarter ways to hold them. There is definitely, as you suggested, holding it as part of an account, as an ETF. There's a few different ways you can go about it. I don't know, 20%. I haven't seen that yet.
I have not.
I'll definitely go check it out.
I have not seen that at all. But I'll take Bob's word for it if
yeah.
that's what some people are touting.
Yeah.
And some people are suggesting you load up on Bitcoin too.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not in our.
It's not something we recommend.
No,
Right.
for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to get back to the trusts, and we have an open mic call. We will get to that after the break.
Thank you so much, Joe and Dave and you and Bob and whoever our future Bob is, if you want to hop on the air as well. Open lines available, 844-580-9326, 844-580-WDBO, or send in that open mic using the free WDBO app. You're listening to On the Money, where we're planning
today
with the Certified Financial Group.
This is WDBO.
WDBO.
107.3 FM and AM 580. Orlando's news and talk. And where Orlando turns first for breaking news, weather, and traffic 24 hours a day. Listen on the WDBO app at WDBO.com. Ask Alexa to play WDBO and on HD2 of 96.5.
Old school butcher.
Live team coverage
starts now. Good morning. It's 9:30 here at WDBO. I'm Michelle Wargo with our top story. The autopsy of the Brown shooting suspect has been released, revealing that he was likely dead for days before his body was found. Fox's Chanley Painter reports.
The official autopsy suggests that the suspect fatally shot himself in the head last Tuesday, which would be 2 days before officials found his body inside of a storage facility in Salem, New Hampshire, Thursday night. Investigators believe Claudio Neves Valente, a 48-year-old Portuguese national and former PhD student at Brown University, shot and killed MIT professor Nuno Lorenzo in his Boston area home Monday, 2 days after killing 2 students and wounding 9 others at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island.
Officials say the suspect had no known connection to the Brown University students, but previously attended the same school as the MIT professor in the 90s. Federal investigators say surveillance and forensic evidence link him to both shootings. A motive has not yet been determined. After months of delays, the Justice Department is beginning to release hundreds of thousands of documents from its investigation into sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. But despite a new law from Congress, less than half of the files have been released as required. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who was also President Trump's criminal defense attorney, told ABC's Pierre Thomas that DOJ is not redacting the names of famous men and women associated with Epstein.
There's no effort to hold anything back because there's the name Donald J. Trump or anybody else's name, Bill Clinton's name, Reid Hoffman's name. There's no effort to hold back or not hold back because of that.
And U.S. adults are losing trust in pro and college sports as the popularity of online gambling continues to rise.
An NBC News Decision Desk poll found 70% of respondents believe sports gambling lessens the integrity of the game. According to the poll, 30% said they were very concerned betting is leading to games being fixed, while another 34% said they were somewhat concerned about game rigging. The poll comes after a string of illegal gambling scandals have hit the NBA and MLB recently. Sports leagues have promised to tighten internal controls to track suspicious activity. Laurel Lee, WDBO News.
It's now 9:33. I'm Michelle Wargo, WDBO News.
Football season is heating up on Prize Picks. Now, you and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. So keep the season rolling by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Plus, the app for Prize Picks is really simple to use. Just pick 2 or more players across any sport, pick more or less on their projections, and if you're right, you could win big. Prize Picks is also available in 40-plus states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. Most importantly, they don't play about your money. All transactions on the app are fast, safe, and secure. Don't miss any of the action this season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Download the Prize Picks app today, use code SUNDAY, and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play $5. That's code SUNDAY on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly in lineups when you play $5. Win or lose, you'll get $50 in lineups just for playing. Guaranteed. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Spend your time with those who matter most this holiday season and sell your home with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. There are no showings, no open houses, and the best part, there's no stress.
We've
hey,
been
Scott
with
Inez back, and I'm here with my friend Mark of Mark Spain Real Estate. Okay, Mark, how does that guaranteed offer remove some of the challenges that come with a traditional home sale?
It's been getting a guaranteed offer means you can sell your home fast and at a very competitive price without the stress of showings or open houses or even lock boxes on your door. Now you have the certainty of an offer.
Hey, Joe. We want to get back to Bob.
Fiduciary is
providing retirement planning and investment management for a fee. Seems to resonate with our clients. But don't take my word for it.
Bob had a question
I knew a gentleman that I worked with who had come to the Certified Financial Group.
A friend of mine recommended them.
Specifically about gold.
And they were totally correct.
14,000 five-star reviews.
I had heard from somebody else that it was the best one in town.
True or not, but
I
I saw
sent
a video
several
of
of
a
my
guy
teacher friends here.
getting a
We're Certified
gold watch,
Financial Group,
studded out
but
with
we're planning
diamonds,
tomorrow,
but he melted
today.
it down because the gold itself was more expensive than it was shaped as a watch.
You may
Terry,
be
this
the
is
area,
way
but
to the
we're
gold.
not. For more than 40 years, our
Watch.
certified financial planning professionals
WDBO.
are providing retirement planning and asset management for fee to countless families
Yeah,
across
I don't
Central
know what it
Florida.
was.
We've been
High
with
temperatures
certified
are still
since
going to make their way into
1992.
the upper
We're on to the
70s. We're also
third or
tracking a
fourth
lot more
generation of
sunshine
clients that
throughout
have come to
most of the
CFG and the team here to do a great job.
Extra good
It's been
chance
so
of rain
long
could be
since I've been doing this that I just
today, but even
don't
then
even
they'll be
worry about
isolated at
anything
best.
anymore.
I'm meteorologist
Certified
Daniel
Financial Group,
McFarland
but
from
we're planning
Severe Weather
tomorrow,
Center 9.
today.
Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. No gimmicks, just results. Call Bogan Munz & Munz.
Is still moving along at a pretty good pace. The turnpike is coming in accident-free, but you do have some stop-and-go traffic if you're heading northbound between US 192 and 417. The beach line looks good if you're heading eastbound towards the coast. Westbound is looking good as well.
Welcome back to On the Money right here on WDBO AM 580, always streaming inside your WDBO app. I got 2 certified financial planners here answering your questions live on the air. Joe Bert and Dave Balakrishnan available at 844-580-9326 and also available if you send in your open mic using that WDBO app. We also have Wynn Smith taking calls off the air, and Wynn's available at 407-869-9800. That's if you have a question that's a little more personal or you want to get down into exact personal financial numbers and situations, Wynn's available to go ahead and do that now at 407-869-9800. And just before the break, Dave and Joe were talking to Bob, and Bob had a question about gold, and Dave and Joe did some research during the break.
Yeah, Bob had mentioned that J.P. Morgan was recommending 20% of your investment portfolio be invested in gold, and that just didn't ring true to me, didn't sound quite right. That seemed on the high side from what an advisor would recommend. And Dave, during the break here, did a little research. So what'd you find, Dave?
So this is essentially an article that J.P. Morgan Research put out, and the context is always matters in some of these things. The research article basically was talking about, if you have an emerging market, like a country that is, maybe an African country or an India or some of these emerging markets, the central banks in those countries could use up to 20% of their Federal Reserve, right? The federal bank could use 20% of their assets in gold to protect against foreign exchange risk for the emerging country.
As a hedge.
As a hedge for foreign exchange variations.
So it wasn't 20% for an individual, it was 20% for a foreign country.
A foreign country's federal bank to essentially help minimize foreign exchange fluctuations.
Right.
So again, context is important. Yes, it was a J.P. Morgan research article, but it was not for individual investment recommendation.
So probably what happened, somebody passed that information on to Bob, and that's what oftentimes happens. So I hope that clears it up, Bob. You're still, you can buy gold as much as you want, but 20% is a little on the high side. I want to get back to, I mentioned just briefly how we do it for our clients. We can buy it for our clients through Fidelity, where you buy it at spot plus a 2% cost, and they charge 1% per year to hold it. But the beauty of that is number one, it's liquid. I mean, you don't have to trot the gold bars down to somebody to liquidate it for you.
Right.
And if you investigate what the liquidation charges are for some of these gold peddlers, if you will find that it's not as good a deal as you thought it was. So if you want to hold gold in your portfolio, there is a way to do it. Everything has somewhat of a transaction to it, but what you want to look at is the holding cost, but more importantly, the liquidation charges. And when it comes time to sell it, what is the price that you're going to sell it at? So
you lose a lot more for jewelry and any other stuff.
Yep.
Unlike the actual coins or bars that are.
And stay away from coins unless you know what you're doing.
Right.
That is a whole another can of worms. All right, I saw we got a
open mic.
Open mic.
You got it. If you want to send in your open mic, it's available inside the WDBO app. We'll play it back live on the air as if you're sitting in studio, just like this one.
Good morning. My question is, I have a 403B pension from a fire department. After 12 years, I left, went to another department. My question is I'm currently 41. I can collect on that at 48. Am I able to collect on that while I'm still working currently until probably around 58, 59 or so?
All right. So I think the caller was specifically talking about moving from one job to another job. So it sounds like this particular person has left from their previous employer, has moved on to a different employer. What wasn't very clear for me is that if they are still in the firefighting, kind of a role in a different city and so on. So typically when you have actually left your current job and moved to a different job, usually you're able to draw on your pension. If you are still in a firefighting capacity in the same retirement program, so like, for example, in Florida, firefighters typically get to enroll in the Florida retirement system, unless some cities have a unique program. If they are part of the Florida retirement system, there are limitations. There are some caveats as far as what you can and cannot do. So again, a little bit more clarity needed from the person in terms of their specific situation. But in general, if you have left your current employment and have moved on to a completely different kind of role and a different a pension plan, typically, yes, you can draw on that pension.
Yep.
Joe, anything to add?
No, it's going to be taxable to you at that time.
Yes, it is taxable income.
And if you don't need it, just let it sit there, and hopefully it'll increase in value.
Right.
So you want to look at that situation as well.
Yep.
So let's get back to where we left off. We talked about the elements of estate planning.
Yep.
When there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, quick recap on when there is a will, there is a way, right? So the pieces of the estate plan. So we briefly spoke about that last will and testament. That was the map, right? This essentially outlines what is it that you want to do, and this usually is instructions for the probate court on how your affairs needs to be handled. Right. The second piece that we briefly spoke about was actually putting together a trust. And this is always a question: do I need a trust? Again, it's really a question of how much more control you want to exercise. And I was talking about, you can fine tune how your assets are distributed, or how your legacy is going to maybe last for a little bit longer through, if it's charitable giving, or even for your children if they're young, or if they are maybe not thrifty and they are spenders, maybe kind of guide them and protect them a little bit longer. Allows you to have that protection for a little bit longer than when you're not around to be hopefully have a sensible conversation.
And I've worked with clients over the years. You're talking about how creative you can be. I mean, you can be really creative with this stuff. Say you have children, and you would say, well, when you graduate from college, you'll get X percentage, and when you get married, you'll X percentage, or you buy your first house, you get X percentage, or you get nothing until you're 45 years old. So there's all kinds of anything that you can do legally, you can do through the trust. And the trust, of course, avoids probate. Your will, once again, is your instructions to the probate court. So if you have a will, you're going through probate. If you have a trust, you're going to avoid probate.
And your affairs are handled, in a private way rather than having to air that in public.
Right, but not everybody needs a trust, and there's ways around doing a trust that we do oftentimes for our clients. That just how you title the assets.
Correct.
Tenancy by the entirety, it automatically passes to them, or you can name a beneficiary on it, avoids probate. Of course, your retirement accounts have beneficiaries, your IRAs, 401ks, insurance policies, annuities, all those have beneficiaries, and all that will avoid probate. Yeah. The only thing that goes through probate are the things that are in your name alone.
Right. And that's personal property.
Your personal property.
Personal property, typically their houses, your jewelry, and your gold holdings if you have them. So these are the kinds of things that usually end up in probate. So again, this is where the trust can actually provide a little bit more structure. But again, like Joe was talking about, you don't always need a trust.
Right.
So it's a question.
And some people think that putting things in a trust avoids claims of creditors. That is not the case. If God forbid you get that suit because of the car wreck, whatever is in your name alone or whatever is in the trust is subject to a claim of creditor. The only kind of trust that isn't applied for is an irrevocable trust, which means you're giving the assets irrevocably to a trust. You can't get them back, and your creditors can't get it. So all kinds of things to be careful of. So what else you got there?
There's a lot of structure that you can go through that can get complicated. Yep. So we'll move on to the next one. So this is another important one. And there's all kinds of difficult conversations we have with clients. This one is called the financial power of attorney. And this is, the analogy I would use is this is the backup driver, right? As long as you're holding your bucket, you're holding your car, you're driving, you're fine, great. But what if you are maybe unwell or have an extended medical treatment and you're not able to tend to your affairs? How do you handle this, right? And this is where this backup driver, the second person who has a financial power of attorney, can come in. And again, I've had conversations with people where they've been married for 30 years, but they've elected to keep their affairs separate, which is fine, right? People can do it many different ways. And then unfortunately, one of the spouses ended up with an Alzheimer's condition and a quickly deteriorating one. So the other spouse is essentially reaching out, asking, what can I do? How can I help? And guess what? It becomes difficult if you didn't have a financial power of attorney. You end up with guardianship. There's all kinds of complex stuff that comes up after that. Yeah. So again, having a power of attorney is a very basic thing. Having that is absolutely critical to be able to provide the protection and access to your assets when you are maybe a little bit incapacitated and not necessarily be able to handle your affairs.
Yeah, that's an essential tool, particularly if you're single.
Yeah.
Particularly if you're single, because, if your kids call or somebody calls and wants to help you pay your bills or have information on your accounts to help you out, we can't give it to them unless we have that power of attorney on file. So please, please, please be sure that that's up to speed, and it is a very, very inexpensive document.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's the other piece that kind of goes with this. The power of attorney handles the financial affairs. Then there is the healthcare surrogate, right? Mm-hmm. So this is essentially it's a document that allows specific people to make medically necessary decisions on your behalf. Again, when you are not able to advocate for yourself. I think this is all kind of evolved since the Terry Schiavo case, I think, from the early 90s, right? I think, so there are now legal languages around how you can specify instructions. And again, this was a difficult conversation around COVID times where people were not able to advocate for themselves and they were intubated or whatever. These difficult situations come in. And so having this healthcare surrogate along with this financial power of attorney are essential documents to still deal with your affairs, right? So again, the will, the map kind of comes into effect only after you go away, when you're gone.
Right.
The financial power of attorney and the healthcare surrogate are documents that help someone else step in and handle your affairs and guide things when you are incapacitated, unavailable to be able to act on these things.
So the financial power of attorney is the fiscal side. The healthcare is the physical side.
Correct. That's a good way to put it.
What do you think? Physical
Absolutely.
and fiscal.
Yeah, fiscal and physical, yes. And the next one here, the other piece that we're talking about is the living will. And so this is essentially also called the health directive. Again, this is near end of life where you're in a severe medical situation where your likelihood of coming back to a quality of life is not possible. So here, this is a document that you can essentially, it's kind of the final medical script that you can have and on file for the healthcare surrogate to make decisions for you when just, you just will not have a quality of life to be able to survive.
And that's the Terry Schiavo thing.
That is the Terry Schiavo.
You're on life support forever and ever, and the family members are arguing about whether or not you should terminate the life or just continue on as we're doing, and it could be...
It's an emotional conversation.
Emotional, yes. So this is decisions that you make while you're of sound mind, exactly what you want to have done if and when that time comes. So those are all the elements of a comprehensive estate plan. And it's something that we work with our clients. We're not attorneys, but we will give you the guidance at what needs to be done and be glad to talk to you about it next time we see you in the office.
Yeah. Excellent.
Thank you so much. If you want to join the conversation, if you want to just pop into their office through their telephone first, Win Smith is taking calls off the air at 407-869. Having a brain fart here. 9800 407-869-9800. Let me say it again, just because I had a little mental hiccup there. 407-869-9800. Win Smith taking calls off the air. On the air, we got Dave Balakrishnan and Joe Bert taking your calls for one more segment. That phone number is 844-580-9326. 844-580-WDBO. You're listening to On the Money, where we're planning tomorrow.
Today.
With the Certified Financial Group.
This hour was
His fiduciaries have been providing retirement planning and asset management for a fee to countless families across Central Florida.
We've been with Certified since 1992.
We're now into the third or fourth generation of clients that have come to CFG and the team here to do a great job.
It's been so long since I've been doing this that I just don't even worry about anything anymore.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today. Our fiduciary approach of providing retirement planning and investment management for a fee seems to resonate with our clients. But don't take my word for it.
I knew a gentleman that I worked with who had come to Certified Financial Group.
A friend of mine recommended them, and they were totally correct how good they are.
I had heard from somebody else that it was the best one in town.
I've sent several of my teacher friends here.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today. You may be new to the area, but we're not. For more than 40 years, our certified financial planner professionals, acting as fiduciaries and providing retirement planning and asset management for a fee to countless families across Central Florida.
We've been with Certified since 1992.
We're now into the third or fourth generation of clients that have come to CFG and the team here to do a great job.
It's been so long since I've been doing this that I just don't even worry about anything anymore.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today. Black Monday, the dot-com bust, 9/11, and now 2 wars. We've pretty much seen it all. Acting as fiduciaries, our CFP professionals have been a steady hand guiding our clients to and through their retirement years.
No reason to be worried about anything.
Stay the course. You stay the course, and you get there.
I don't have to worry about it like I know a lot of people look at it every day. I don't have to do that with the team here at Certified Financial Group.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today. Are you tired of trying to reach your advisor through a call center and being put on hold for 20 minutes? That's why we don't use one, and our clients seem to appreciate the personal touch.
They always answer my questions and really care about what's going on with me.
You can trust what they say, and they do what they say, and it gives you a comfort feeling it's hard to find in the world today.
You know, waiting for you to call almost. You almost feel like that.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today.
As an investor, you want peace of mind. You need to know that your advisor is not only thoroughly competent, but also a fiduciary. In other words, he or she is acting at all times in your best interests. You need to trust your advisor, regardless of how much money you have to invest or what part of the world you're in. It might not be your money you're entrusting the advisor with. Perhaps you're a board member of a charity or foundation whose future depends on prudent investment. Or perhaps you have the responsibility of making investment decisions on behalf of other people. As the trustee of a retirement plan, the decisions you make can have a direct impact on the lives of your employees. Whatever type of investor you are, the solution is to use an advisor certified by the Center for Fiduciary Excellence. A CFEX certified advisory firm demonstrates its adherence to a global fiduciary standard of excellence, a defined standard with specific criteria covering 21 best practices. The documented, repeatable processes and the evidence-based decision-making that CFEX demands are more likely to generate investment portfolios that match client needs and expectations. And because the firm voluntarily agrees to a rigorous annual audit, investors can rest assured that their advisor continues to work to the highest professional standards. This independent verification is even more critical for trustees and investment committee members of retirement plans who are legally required to conduct regular due diligence on their service providers. Use a CFEX certified firm, and that job has been done already by an expert at no expense to the plan. So why leave anything to chance? Insist on working with investment professionals you can truly trust. Insist on using a CFEX certified advisor.
Back to On the Money, rather, right here on WDBO On the Money, brought to you by the Certified Financial Group. We got Joe Bert, we got Dave Balakrishnan answering the questions throughout this hour, and we got Wynn Smith taking your calls off the air. If you want to call in, 407-869-9800. As this episode comes to a close, Wynn will still be available for your questions at 407-869-9800. 9800. Or if you want to head over to the futuristic building at the Certified Financial Group, we got options for that too, right, Joe?
We do. On January the 10th, 3 weeks from today, Social Security Planning Basics, Rules and Claiming Strategies, hosted by Charles Curry, Certified Financial Planner. It'll be from 10 to 11:30 right here in offices on Saturday morning, right after the show. And this is a great one because there's, as we say, you know, when you go to apply for Social Security will tell you what your options are, but they cannot and will not tell you what's best for you and your family. And there are many options. And if you make the wrong choice, if you wait too long, you don't get a do-over. So this is very, very important. If you're at or near Social Security age, you definitely want to come to this. It's January the 10th. Go to our website. That's financialgroup.com, financialgroup.com. Click on workshops. You'll see the whole bank of workshops we have scheduled here for the first quarter of the year. Hope to see you there in 3 weeks. And Dave, you had some final thoughts.
Yeah, some final thoughts, right? I hope it was informative as far as the different pieces of the estate plan. So as we kind of get to the top of the hour, so a call for action, right? Again, it's a time where we're all relaxing, we're slowing down. It's also a time for reflection, but also a request would be, if you already have a will, if you already did your estate planning documents, go find them, right? Many times we find these things were done 10, 15, 20 years ago, and it has names and people who probably don't even exist anymore. If your lawyer who helped you do it is probably not in the business or whatever. So again, go revisit that, get that done. If you don't have one, we cannot emphasize enough. Get the basics, get the will, get that basic document that tells how things need to be handled, right? And many times, some of the difficult thoughts are just facing the conversation. And other things, and this was also a personal challenge for me. Who can I put in as a trustee on that document, on the will? Who will help this thing? So if you have things that as a challenge, again, reach out to us, reach out to me. We can give out professionals who actually be a trustee on documents, and we can give you referrals for that as well, right? So call to action, get started. Again, you don't have to be a legal scholar to do this all yourself. You need a good quarterback. This is where the estate attorneys come in. So again, just get started, and so I think hopefully that's probably the closing side of comments. Joe, anything else you want to add?
No, just want to thank our listeners now as we close the end of the year. And to once thank you, Josh, for the great job you've done with us, producing the show over the last several years. Appreciate all your help, and all of our listeners. Want to wish all of our listeners happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and all the stuff that goes with it. And wishing you a safe and blessed holiday season, and see you after Christmas.
Thank you so much, guys. I know you guys put up with all my questions in between the breaks about my own personal finances.
That's why we're here.
So I do appreciate it. You're helping me plan tomorrow today. Thank you so much. Another great episode of On the Money, brought to you by the Certified Financial Group. Win Smith taking your calls off the air as this episode comes to a close. 407-869-9800. That's 407-869-9800. You've just listened to On the Money, where we're planning tomorrow.
Today.
With the Certified Financial Group.
I feel like this is the